The gas station staff was refueling the vehicle. There was a violent collision sound from the trunk. He suspected that the driver had a kidnapped victim hidden in the trunk. The driver turned on the car stereo to try to cover up the abnormal sound. Despite his doubts, the young gas station attendant did not ask any more questions. Soon, the vehicle with sufficient fuel drove deep into the forest. The driver calmly dug a hole, then opened the trunk lid. But the bound hostage suddenly resisted wildly. She got rid of the owner in an out-of-control posture. The driver stared at her and rushed into the primitive forest area. The woman fled into the residential community and climbed over the wooden fence. The driver chased after her. The woman shouted for help, hoping that nearby residents would notice her. At the same time, a resident had just finished work and returned home. He collapsed on the sofa exhausted. The lights were not turned on. Suddenly he heard a cry for help. He stood up and walked to the balcony to look out. A strange man grabbed the woman's hair. The man panicked and took out his mobile phone to call the police. At this moment, the lights in the living room suddenly lit up. He turned around and found that it was his wife, who turned on the light in the room. He hurriedly crossed the sofa and turned off the light. He never thought that the murderer would still catch a glimpse of him. The man hid behind the green plants and peeked quietly, and happened to see the murderer. The murderer glanced and turned away. After walking a few steps forward, he suddenly stopped. After confirming the floor number, he turned around. He went directly to the witness's residence. The residents in the room were worried about the murderer's revenge. He hurriedly picked up a wooden stick and locked the door. He stayed in front of the door to protect his family's safety. He waited for 2 hours. There was still no sound from the outside world, and he didn't dare to sleep. The next morning, the police blocked the scene of the crime and interviewed those who knew about it. The commander at the scene looked around. He deduced that someone must have witnessed the murder in the community yesterday. The witness was anxious. The murderer's eyes lingered, and he was always worried about the safety of his family. Then the police team went door to door to check. All residents denied witnessing the murder. Only one student pointed out that he heard screams. When the police were about to ask questions, the girl's mother rushed over and urged the girl to go home quickly. The clues were broken and the police were helpless. The witness was startled by the community staff as soon as he returned home. This person came to deliver a notice. Because the deceased was not a resident of the community, the community staff asked residents not to make a fuss, avoid negative impact on community housing prices. The man tossed and turned late at night. He planned to send an anonymous letter to the police. It was just the fear of revenge that kept struggling in his heart. If you were in this man's situation, would you stand up and provide clues to the police? This exciting Korean movie is called The Witness.